Dinda, Kazajano, Sunami, Shirin Shinjisati. Sholok, Changazi.
So let's turn to verse number 34, which says, all Buddhas say the cause for completion of the collections, whose nature is merit and exalted wisdom, is the development of higher perceptions.
Tadi, and Gombulujugi, Ribuchujubi, and Jude, Gawandi, Gawon, Sunamish Tosa, the Sunamish legend, Tabokuni told shores. Umunjubenalia, Gunzutini, Shoyanga, Gayo, Angway, Te, Nekio, Angway, and Dundan, Gawlung, Shuktuki, Gawayan, the Jasupa, Shorten draws. Chenada Sunshati, Sony the Dene, and the Sajiko to Chico race.
So, with regard to this verse, there is also a similar verse in the 60 stanzas of reasoning by Master Nagarjuna, where he says that may through the collection of this merit, and the merit and wisdom, may all sentient beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and through that completion of the merit and wisdom, may they reach Buddhahood. And similarly, Master Chandrakirti says in his Madhyamaka Avatara that through the two wings of conventional understanding of conventional reality and ultimate reality, may the King Swan fly across the ocean.
What is one? Tadi Gares Luna. The Changlo to success, Lago to Changlo to success. That is the damage that is. That day, you know, the basic Buddhist university concept is law of causality. Within the law of causality, the concept of law of causality. So, the Buddhahood, of course, there are certain quality which not depend on, not the within the phenomena which in the nature of causality, like the emptiness of Buddha's mind, and also our emptiness of our mind is something permanent.
So emptiness of mind of Buddhas and sentient beings cannot be posited as an affirming through affirmation of the phenomenon, or in the sense of an affirming phenomenon, but it has to be posited as something by negating something on the mind.
Now, for example, in this hall, no elephant. So absence of elephant exist, isn't it? We can know, we can understand there's no elephant. So it is something we can understand. So it exists, but it's just a mere absence of elephant. So absence of elephant itself is something permanent, always there. Wherever no elephant, the non-existence of elephant always there. It is permanent. Some sense? So in Pramana, the logic, so logical, what's it?
No, the Pramana.
The text, they like Dharmakirtis, Pramana Vatika Karika. Oh, very difficult text. I think very few among our scholars who really have the complete text memorized. I think very few. in my case, only few shlokas at the beginning and few otherwise zero. So you see, especially
So within the objects of knowledge, we made these two categories of the things which are positive and negative.
다 각발이야 각자 각성 그 메가다 각자 극슈를 최신 편배 뭐인가
Within the negative phenomena, there are two, which are called the negative phenomena, which actually do not imply anything, but the mere, which is a mere negation, which is posited through mere negation of something. And then there's other category of negative phenomena, which is called affirming negative.
다 유를 걱주니 여기잖아요. 제지그 로이 조단데 각번 제외 로데기 각자 세력관에 유지하지. 된도 로르샤지. 자장가 세ven 주바스. 패지리. 각자 세는 뭐도. 다 주베지디디 거기 유다가랑 지금 유대 남바스는도 다 유대 가서래. 다 간다 로르샤야 거네. 되게 유지스기다 가서다. 가다 각자 세워 거네 된디 로유도 셈고. 거라 된다가 주베고 로르샤야지. 자상가 각도도 주도 니식도.
And so also there is mention of within the subjective mind itself, there are one category of mind which actually sees or perceives the object by negating something onto the object, and therefore this kind of conception follows the principle of elimination. So you eliminate something on some object, and then you realize or perceive that object. And so this is the perception which engages with the object by means of elimination of something. And then there are others which actually engage or which perceive objects without actually going through this process of elimination, but actually taking on the object in its perception.
Then here, I think when you look at me through eye, there you can see the object, what exists this moment. If suppose if one fly here, you can see that. Then close your eye. Now the image of you have seen. Now image. Now that not the actual that object, just image. Now that image. Now you see what you have seen before. Only that image. If at that time you see some big sort of fly here, or the image, still that fly there, but actually no longer that fly. Clear. 자장가 다 당구디 가서래. 도미 세트체. 육 내주 가르여버지 차상 떠댕이지 통댕이지. 다디 도미 디 장배 똑벌리 주잖아요. 디 튼지 나버샤. 자장가 다 덕이 도미가 통돼야지 유주정신 맞으셔야지. 똑바로 샤돼야지 유주정신 되었어야지. 낭다 직도 됐어. 다 튼지 샤돼야들라 똑바로 딱삼 쓰고 다 참에 타녀르다. 그 무슨 주변제약이 유디 랑센시. 다 안데디야 참에 두주기 랑센다 도다사디 야 우모변도에서 도스메tar다. 다 이네 고아되는 랭고도.
So just as our conception engages with the objects in these two ways, through the principle of elimination, and also, I'm sorry, just as our perceptions engage with objects, on the one hand, through the elimination of something, and on the other hand, without going through that process. And likewise, we have two different kinds of conceptions or conceptual thoughts. Now, with regard to the perceptual cognition, which actually sees things, as I explained, with regard to seeing the bee on my forehead. And when you see that bee, you actually have a perceptual cognition of the bee, which is to say that your sense perception is able to see the bee very clearly without having to go through any kind of the process of elimination of something. But then after that, what follows is you have a conception of the bee. And although the bee is no longer on my head, but you still can have that conception of the bee on my head. And that conception actually, how it actually engages with the object, which is the bee on the forehead, is by having this, what is known as a generic image of the bee on the forehead, and then accordingly it perceives or conceives the bee. And so in this way, the things which are seen perceptually with our senses directly are said, according to the Pramana tradition in the text, these are said to be things which are manifest, and then there are those that are said to be self-characterized phenomena. And then the generic image which forms in our conception, in other words, how our conception works with regard to its object is by following this principle of, through the principle of elimination of something, and you have a generic image of that object in your conception, in your thought, and in this way it engages with the object. And so these kind of objects, which are merely conceptually perceived or recognized, are said to be the things which are not generally characterized phenomena, or merely, they are said, according to the Brahmana system, they are said to be merely called designated, merely imputed, whereas the perceptual things are said to be not merely imputed, but they have some self-characterized feature. And so here, when we make these two distinctions of the self-characterized phenomena and merely things being merely conceptually designated, we should know that we are not going into the Madhyamaka philosophical understanding of these two things, but merely from the point of view of the Brahmana system.
Mm. So the Pramana Vadika Karika, the concept about the ultimate reality, the Pramana Vadika Karika, according some portion, according Sotantic school of thought, and some portion, the Chitta Mantra, what's it, the school of thought. So in any way, the basic sort of, let's say, the categorized object, and also the way to understand these different objects, that's all also school of thought is the same, and not only Buddhist, but also in ancient non-Buddhist sort of school of thought. Also is a lot of explanation about these things. So these are very, very important. Now this, I feel, we can take as an academic subject rather than religious subject. So I think we are already working, the certain sort of the concept or concept marita.
The content.
Subject which mentioned in these Buddhist text, we can treat some just simply science, or science of matter, science of mind. So that should take separately, and then we also can add some Western sort of 가서다. 삼류 개발 가서래. Paul Ekman, an American
Psychologist.
psychologist. I don't know what particular sort of term. He, on the basis of sort of facial expression. Neuropsychologist. You see, he categorized, I think, 16 different emotions. So we should include such modern sort of findings. Very good. Just simply is explaining about the fact. That's all. So the Parmana Vadika Garika, except you see the Buddhist sort of regarding Buddhist sort of practice. Otherwise, many of the subject should treat it as a academic subject. So now, I'm trying to say, now every phenomena, now from the Madhyamika sort of viewpoint, or Madhyamika, or I think, including Madhyamika, you see, everything categorized, you see, two things. That's Tandam Tempa, Kunzu Tempa.
Yes. So everything is categorized into the two phenomena, which are called the ultimate reality and then the conventional reality.
Conventional level, as briefly mentioned yesterday also, you see, they each have its own entity and different things. Everything, if we investigate thoroughly, then we can't find any sort of substance. So because things are interdependent, so once we separate all these different factors which the thing depend, after all these sort of factors, you see,
taken apart.
No.
Yes. So if we take something, if you have something in front of you, and if you take apart with your mind the different parts of it,
then nothing left there. Yes. So in that respect, all phenomena like that. The Shunya itself like that. Buddha also like that. No absolute, no independent. So now here, so Buddha's level, there is certain Buddhist quality such as complete elimination of all defilement and its imprints, right? These are quality of Kasota, permanent. But the rest of the Buddha's quality, such as all-knowing, or mercy, or compassion, and his energy, these are the phenomena which within the law of causality. So therefore, these Buddhist quality must come its own causes and conditions. So that cause must be
the cause must precede its effect.
So cause of Buddhahood must start from before Buddhahood. Right?
No.
So now, those those phenomena which eventually produce or causing Buddha's body, Buddha's speech, Buddha's mind, its continuation, ultimately Buddha nature, I mentioned yesterday, Buddha nature. There are, you see, different, I think, different, dimensions. In Sutra, Buddha nature, Tathagata Garbha, or Sukata Sindhaya, according Abhisamaya Alankara, mainly the angle from the sort of ultimate truth. Gyulama Kasa.
Mahayana Uttara Tantra.
Mahayana Uttara Tantra. You see the angle from mainly the mind side. But you see, they not fully sort of explain about the nature of that mind. That only from Guhi Samaja. When the word come, or the ultimate source of Buddha's mind, here also is the mind. You should not just consider this grosser level of mind. We must make a distinction, grosser, because of subtler, most innermost subtle mind. So, Buddha's mind's ultimate, the continuation of the source of Kasachuti, substantial cause, is our mind. Within the mind, very, very subtle level mind. That's actually Buddha nature. That does not mean that's Buddha. We should not consider, oh, we already Buddha. That is foolish. There's no need any effort, no need any complaint. But full of complaint here. I myself also a lot of complaining. So is there something wrong? So complain. So therefore, suddenly we are not Buddha. It is foolish to say, you see, the big tree, the seed, all the sort of the potential is within that seed, right? But nobody said that seed is that tree. No, nobody said that. Clear. So therefore, the Buddha's seed, ultimate seed, already here. The subtle mind and the subtle energy. The subtle mind become Buddha's mind. The subtle energy become Buddha's speech and Buddha's body. That clearly mentioned in Guhi Samaja Tantra. And particularly the Nagarjuna, see his sort of writing and commentary or kasota translation kasari.
No, mean commentary.
Commentary.
Explanation.
Of that Nagarjuna. That is Ruma.
Yes. The commentary
No,
written by
not
Nagarjuna.
Nagarjuna's.
Samaja, which is called the 5 stages.
That's Nagarjuna's writing. Oh. Now time sleep. Short moment. Perhaps those people who usually should not get before sort of 7, then I think should take few moments sleep. For me, no problem. 3:30 already sort of got up, so no problem. Yeah, so then commentary about that root text, Aryadeva wrote. Then one major commentary wrote by Chandrakirti, daughter of Chandrakirti. I think some of you, I think, already know. Some, I think, may not know. The great sort of Sanskrit scholar, late Ubadeva, great scholar, Sanskrit scholar. See, he carries some research about Kala Chakra Tantra. So for that connection, he visited few times to Nepal. So one occasion, he found on palm leaf, one sort of Sanskrit writing on palm leaf, one page. He saw somewhere in Nepal. Then he noticed the style of the Sanskrit, the writings were.
No.
Sanskrit,
On the palm leaf, the style of writing,
Sanskrit
the composition.
style. He found 100% same. That is 400 verses of Aryan Deva. So that one palm leaf, one page palm leaf, that about Tantrayana. But the style, Sanskrit writing style, he as a good scholar, so he found exactly same author. So he told me after he saw that, then he fully convinced the Aryan Deva practice the Tantrayana, and then naturally Aryan Deva received tantric teaching from his teacher Nagarjuna. Then here also the Atisha Devamgara wrote this small text in Tibet, and he mentioned about Tantrayana. So, and many great masters, you see, in our the translation, about 300 volumes, including Buddha's own sort of teaching. The many great, well-known Nalanda masters wrote tantric text. So as I mentioned, I think the other day, the tantric or Buddhist teaching, like Sanskrit or teaching, not taught publicly. So historian not recorded. So people say, some of these Buddhist teaching or so-called Mahayana teaching not taught by Buddha because not recorded in history. Like that. That's okay. So now important is we have to analyze the meaning, the Sanskrit text subject and the Pali subject. All teaching based on Four Noble Truth. The Sanskrit tradition, Sanskrit teaching, further explanation about Nirodha, third noble truth. And because of that, the fourth noble truth then become much intensive, extensive, like that. And then Tantrayana, I think generally I used explaining the Pali tradition, Four Noble Truth is the basis of Buddhist teaching. Then Panchaparamita Sutra is, as just I mentioned, the further sort of elaborate about third noble truth. And then, and also explaining possibility to achieve that third noble truth. Third noble truth is one quality of mind. So how can achieve that? Thorough explanation, not through prayer, not through offering, but through meditation. Meditation also not only just a closed eye and thoughtlessness, not that way. A thoughtlessness in the sense, grosser level of thought, stop. Then different sort of matter. Otherwise, the thoughtlessness, simply, you see, the thoughtlessness. I think sometimes I'm teasing some practitioner. Even I think the pitching, when we saw, you see, in hotel, this is sometimes in the morning, the pitching in the outside of the window, the pitching, this is, I think very, very sort of peaceful, not moving. So he or she also, you see, getting some kind of experience of thoughtlessness. So it should not the mixed word of thoughtlessness. There are many levels, and particularly those people who practice Dzogchen and Chakchen, Mahamudra. Yes, all these referring the subtle level of mind, not just thoughtlessness like that. So we should not confuse. So therefore, so then the third Dharma wheel, again Sanskrit, is mentioned about because of two categories, and third because of the Dharma wheel, two categories. One category about those people who difficult to accept the second Dharma wheel's sort of teaching. Nothing, everything, absence of independent existence. Therefore,
therefore things have no essence.
So those people who cannot understand that subject, at that point, then Buddha deliberately taught another way.
So with the what are known as the three ways of how things exist, the Buddha during one of the set of the third turning of the wheel gave teaching on the three natures. And so with regard to these three natures, and so regarding the three natures, according to this set of the third turning of the wheel of Dharma, first we have what is known as the dependent nature, and the dependent nature serves as the basis for establishing the emptiness, or what is known as the perfect nature. And the perfect nature is established by rejecting the second nature, which is called the imputed nature. And so these three, the dependent nature, the imputed nature, and the consummate nature are the three natures, or three things that are taught in the third turning of wheel. And with regard to these three, now the dependent nature is those things which are dependent on its causes and conditions. And so they do not have any production, and they are devoid of self-production. And then the imputed nature do not have any self-characterization of their own. And then the consummate nature is this ultimate nature, but the ultimate nature itself has no essence apart from the being imputed by eliminating this the imputed nature.
So that's one category of the teaching of third Dhamma wheel. Another category among third wheel, third wheel, that
so that becomes the source text for Mahayana Uttara Tantra by Maitreya.
Now, this is now explaining about the inner, the mind or subject side. Clear light, there are two clear light.
So within the clear light, there is the object, the clear light, which is the object of mind, and then there is also the subjective mind, which is the clear light.
So, because of the clear light about object, right? As an object, that explained in second Dharma wheel. Because of the subject, clear light, mentioned in third Dharma wheel. So now that is the basis of Tantric teaching. So now here, the Buddha's own, within the translation from India, I think about 10 volumes translated from Chinese. The rest of the text all translated from Sanskrit, mainly Sanskrit, and also some Pali, Vinaya. These, I think, some text translated from Pali. Dolung Tishi? I see. Then all of them, most of them, is translated from Sanskrit. And then commentary, about 225 volumes. Each volume, page about, because the page around, about 700, 800 pages. Like that. So, this is a commentary. Now the first Dharma wheel, commentary, mainly Guna Parva and Shakya Parva. Again, Nalendra, a student of Bosubant. From Nalendra and Takshila, I think Nalendra. Then also using commentary about the first Dharma wheel. I think mainly like Bosubanta's Abhidhamma Koshakarika, one of the texts which we study. Then Arya Asanga, Basubad also did Dignak, Dharmakirti, these, and also later Shantarakshita, Kamalashila. You see, they are sort of writing, also explaining, mainly explaining about Chitta Mantra's viewpoint. Then Nagarjuna, Aryandeva, and Buddha Palita, Bhavaveka, and Kasa, Chandrakirti, and also the Shantadeva. They are sort of writing. That's mainly the mathematical philosophy, like that. So these really wonderful text, really wonderful commentary. So our tradition, we study all these different texts which wrote according to different philosophical views. It is immense help. So now is my main point. So without second Dharma wheel, then we do not develop. We can't develop full conviction about Buddha's quality. Buddha considered like ordinary human being. In the early part life, ordinary human being. Then within short period, he from Chalamne, Miru Lambotu Modu Zesach.
So by popular account, Buddha is was said to have treaded the path from the path of what is known as the preparation up to Buddhahood in one at one stretch of time.
There are 5 stages of path. So Buddha, 3 eons still remain first path, second path. Then at the Buddha Gaya, over one night, from here, there's third and fourth, then morning enlightened. It's quite difficult. It's something miracle. That's difficult to understand. And then Buddha Shakyamuni, after he reached Mahaparinirvana, Sajotongsa Kushinagar, he passed away. Now no longer Buddha. The Nagarjuna clearly is mentioned. If you keep that kind of view, then Buddha, the over 3 eons, countless eons increased, or today,
Create the causes.
Created the causes, causes the conditions, and the sheer purpose, main purpose is serving sentient being. So such long period make immense sort of effort. Then result, his age 29, 30,
35.
Then 6 years sort of meditation, then enlightenment. Right? Then from 36 or 37,
36.
about then till 82, right? 81.
No, 81.
I'm not very sure. Disgrace. I do not know clearly about Buddha's own sort of life story. So, how many years? Over 40 years. So, so many eons, you see, he made effort. The real result, over 40 years. That Nagarjuna mentioned. So, quite difficult to develop full conviction. Then, look, the Mahayana Sutra, or second Dharma wheel, and particularly the commentary, like I.R. Sangha, or these, and also the Nagarjuna, these. Then, the 4 kayas, concept of 4 kayas, Dharmakaya, Jnanakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya. Explaining that, now it seems to see, some sense. Then still, without sort of proper understanding about the ultimate source, ultimate sort of conventional source of these 4 kayas, 3 kayas. The Dharmakaya, no cause. It's permanent. It is shunyata. So the rest of the Jnanakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya are the phenomena within the law of causality. So therefore, there must be substantial cause and the cooperative causes. So through that way, now we understand only when we look or study the tantric sort of teaching, the mentioning about the subtle mind and the subtle energy. As I mentioned already, the ultimate nature of that subtle mind, eventually, when all defilement completely eliminated, then that become Dharmakaya. With that, the basis of that shunyata is the subtle mind. That mind becomes Buddha's mind, or all-knowing mind. Then the energy, the basis of that mind is energy, subtle energy. That energy becomes Buddha's speech and Buddha's body. Once we, all these explanation, those dejata combined with
When
Pastor
you bring them
those
together,
no? Then you get a quite clear sort of picture from this moment up to Buddhahood. So therefore, that is the main reason those texts which really brings full conviction about the system of Buddhism, that not taught by Buddha, then I think very difficult. I think clear. So the Nagarjuna and these great masters, you see, they thoroughly explain these things. Then one thing, their sort of way of approach is first use reasons. And all the reasons ultimately should relate it with our common experience.
So, although we may come to conclusions about things through inference by using logic and reasoning, but ultimately we have to actually relate to our own experience.
For example, the mere designation. Why? You see, everything comes due to other factor. How is to prove that? You see, things are interdependent. That ultimately the law of causality. Now, obviously, as I mentioned yesterday, you see, obviously, you see, there's some because of the effect must come from its cause. Seed produce because of the result, like that. So that's obvious. Even animal also know that. I think mosquito also quite clever, and also that because of bad bugs are there. Bad bug, when light off, the person peacefully sleep, then they know the best opportunity take blood. And bad bug also, when light off, then bad bug come. When we because of flashlight. Oh, then some yeah. They are very fast. Sometimes very difficult to catch. So these animals also, you see, have some knowledge. The cause and effect. That's obvious. That shows, as I mentioned yesterday, result depend on cause. Cause also depend on because of the result. That's only we human being can understand through analyze. Otherwise, it's difficult. So all these is a process. Finally, because of the depend way.
To get back to.
Finally, you see, on the obvious experiences like that. So that system, then you really get some kind of conviction, not a blind faith. And Nagarjuna himself, as I mentioned earlier, you see, because of the investigate Buddha's own word, like the some teaching of third wheel, Nagarjuna and the Dharmakirti say put sort of raise question. Now we cannot accept that Buddha's teaching like that. So it is really, I think something quite unique. So Buddha himself, you see, told his follower, my follower, bhikshus and scholars should not accept my teaching out of faith, out of devotion, but rather thorough investigation and experiment. experiment. So that's, I think, so therefore, and it is true. Also,
Yes. So through that, then we can actually overcome the nihilistic view as well as the views which hold on to eternal. Yes. So we can overcome the two types of wrong views, which are, on the one hand, you exaggerate things, and those can be overcome. And on the other hand, when things do not exist at all and you say they exist, that is kind of holding on to something called the reified view. So that also can be overcome.
So that just I want to share like that. So now main point now here, the Buddha stage, two categories. One, phenomena which belongs the law of causality. Other, something permanent. So now here, in our mind, in our mind, as I mentioned already, these are the potential of the Buddhist Buddhahood. Sanji düzey sanji jiche.
So the subtle mind becomes the substantial course of the Buddha's body, which come through causes and conditions.
That in a semji chini de sanji se dumachi kutuya.
And then the empty nature of our mind becomes the Buddha. When we become Buddhas, then the empty nature of the mind becomes the Dharmakaya, which is not composed phenomena.
Da semji chini sanji dumachi kur gyuala chini yebe michowa. Chini de mo ta ngondu gyuni. Any chini ngondu gyuala ta chini la tendu nyambar shawala partu chebe chimat sekwaji.
So it's not sufficient that we have the empty nature of the mind, which ultimately becomes the Dharmakaya of Buddha, which is an uncomposed phenomena. What we need to actually go through is we have to actualize this the empty nature of the mind, and to such an extent that we are able to stay in absorption, meditative absorption forever. And for that, we have to be able to overcome all the defilements that are in our mind stream.
Da nyungme se tini sanjejin duji kur gyuala da chukut kasa rakwa lubruwe da lunga yisum ti gahu.
And so, with regard to the subtle, innermost subtle mind, or which is now called the luminous mind or the clear light mind, in order for this to transform into the Buddha's bodies,
I think in other words,
phenomena.
You see that subtle mind, the continuous from its continuation become Dharmakaya, Jnanakaya, and Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya, da kasajutani kaloso. The Rapalubu will lose me.
So in order to attain these three forms of the Buddha, three bodies of the Buddha, the Jnanakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya, then based on the basic innate clear light mind, what we need to overcome is the adventitious defilements that are in our mind stream.
The Rapalubu lunga yisun Tibet 쓰고 말이지. 이내 뇽을 현지기 왜세 뭔도 주네. 때도 내야지 정말라. 라볼루를 쳐지지 가고도.
And so what we need to be able to put an end to are the adventitious or the temporary or the gross body, speech, and mind, which are not in themselves any defilements. But in order to attain these three Buddha bodies, we have to put an end to these three.
So the whole tantric practice mainly are the method to eliminate or to stop the grosser level of body, speech, mind. So that's why you see the other day is mentioned about the tantric sort of some teaching for ordinary people. You see, there is always danger to misunderstanding or use wrong way. So it remains secret teaching. And teacher, no, okay. So now it's basically the gyave the chiksanda. 다 배지 조도 뒤쪽 오시면다. 가다 딘드르비다. 드부 상계의 사이 아니 뒤제다 드머식이 다 드머식 리스트비다 연대디 된 것도 지하기 교대라 아니 선하고 차다 예식 차사지. 간다 이시 추구 뭔도 제니 간다 당 모니그 된 것도 주변 내가 왔음 취니 배 용수 것도 주변 내가 저배서 녀르시니 고불루두기 저바 녀시 송샤티 저바다다 녀르시에 녀시 인디 추구체 뒤두지기 제가 제스트베 람디 뚱니권니 이식 소사야 되죠. 다 예시 대 저바 아니 가사 주고도 예시 주고도 아니 가사 모니고도 아니 말에 예시 주고도 롱고도 주고사 디디 즉 가서 그게 야 저배 남아진 차대가 와다 다 예시코라 예시 주고 예시코라라 야 뒤져로다 그다음 코라 동일은 냐버 샤시면은 되게 동일 예배 영원나 잡았다 시대처럼 근데 예시코라 들어왔다 주버와 독주미는 주버 그래서 다 디디디 예시되다 숭굿롱 가서대 숭롱굿다 굿 주고서 디디 뒤지에 처해지는 대주지기 교리에 선하고 사셔야 돼.
And so, in order to reach, when we reach Buddhahood, within the Buddhahood, there are these two dimensions of the bodies. The one is comes under the category of those things which come through causes and conditions, which are known as compounded phenomena, and then the others are there's the second category, which is known as the uncompounded phenomena. And so for the Buddha bodies, which are compounded phenomena, they come through causes and conditions. And so within the causes and conditions, there is the accumulation of merit and wisdom. And so through the accumulation of merit and wisdom, we reach or we attain the Buddha bodies. And so here, the all-knowing mind of the Buddha itself, of course, is a compounded phenomena. But when that mind is totally free from all kinds of defilements that are within the mind, then when the mind is totally absorbed in the final nature of everything. And so from that point of view, it is, of course, free from all conceptuality, conceptual constructions and everything. But then the mind itself is a compounded phenomena. And so the total factor that the mind is free from all the defilements is itself the uncompounded phenomena, and then the mind of the Buddha, and then the two other physical dimensions, or the Sambhogakaya, which is to say the speech of the Buddha, and the Nirmanakaya, the emanation body. These are compounded phenomena, and so these come through the accumulation of merit.
Now, about the cultivate altruism that come later, I would like to carry in the form of ceremony or some chanting like that. Now here, the Shine Drupa, because Shine Drupa Mayimba, Shine Yala Nam Nyambe Stati Kasati. What is
Verse number 39.
39. Shine Yala Nam Nyambe, Ruptumbe de Komche Yang, da Shine Gyusoti Sango is Shibati, Tomiki Nyansanala Shibishwa.
And so these verse shows that we have to have all the prerequisites for cultivating and developing the shamatha, which is, we find a great in the detailed explanation of this in Master Asanga's text.
Now the Shine, the Lejan get Kasore, Samadhi, Shamatha say, Sikru Kawat Siklo. What did Shine go around? It's a Tibetan word and Sanskrit word, which is the exact translation. So, she said that goes to Mikbo Kaya, but Degalia, Shani, Dabamado, Tele, Shembe, Mikbo Shala, Lo Trayati, Shiva. And goes to Mikbo Digala, Lo Shani, Nabachilla, Shine, Korabarshana.
So the term for shamatha in Tibetan is shine, or calm abiding. So calmness here refers to the mind being able to stay on focus and without being distracted anywhere, but just staying focused. And then ne, and this means, or abiding means actually staying on that object continuously.
Now for training about Shine, the physical sort of Natandi dos Chavashota.
So physical posture makes a difference also.
Some individual, some exceptional case. Otherwise, see, the Gangba Doshiro, Namnak should do.
So the physical posture usually that is recommended when you sit in meditation is called the the physical posture, which has the 7 features of the Vairochana.
Da Gangba, Lakba, Gevasums, Suzanne, Gangba, Doji Girungam, Girung Cheva.
So your legs or feet have to be in these. In the Vajra posture or half lotus posture. And then the hand has to be in meditation, in the meditation posture.
That's ne Naganyamli Jayavina, Tevoni Zetani, Betu Susumjik Shagiori.
And then to relate this, the posture of your hands, to tantric practice, you actually touch your the tips of your two thumbs, and then with the 2 palms, one on the other, 2 hands one on the other, you form a triangle. So at the navel point. So when you touch the the tips of the two thumbs, then of course there is also the warmth that you feel.
Some connection. It was generally. Then this triangle survey.
Triangle.
This generally.
So the triangle that is formed by having the two hands in this way actually symbolizes the Kundalini, inner heat.
두무서 갔을 때. 다르베, 지금 다르베. generally. So there's actually part of body, physical part. It's the seed of heat, inner heat. So Kundalini connection are there. It is nothing important. It's a physical exercise, and also it's a common non-Buddhist and Buddhist Tantra is common practice.
Then you have to hold your body straight.
Then Kamalama gave us Susuchanam Tambeshi. So the Chu Rambolisha. Jessica.
And so you have to hold your lips and your teeth in their natural way. And then you touch the tip of your tongue on the upper palate.
Dichana, Dingizigo Rochibina, any Dimber Longju colonne, Kasobuge, the Menkam, Lung Sukshambuchina, and Kakamiata, the Chior, the Mayala.
So holding your mouth in this natural state actually helps when in not getting the mouth dried up, which can happen when you actually stay in single-pointed meditation for a long time because of some heat that is produced from the throat chakra. It can actually cause the mouth to dry up. So in order for your mouth not to get dried up, then you have to leave your lips and teeth in their natural way.
Go make chakwa uksaches. Go chimpipa tusumche.
So your head has your head has to be slightly bent forward, and then your eyes are actually gazing down. And then the two shoulders have to be actually rested naturally.
Now again, you see different sort of yoga practice. Now for example, the Kala chakra is Tantra. Then you see your hand should remain like that. Then I also, you see the Kala chakra, initial practice of Kala chakra, then the both eye must look here. Or the Dzogchen practitioner, look just straight. So you see different sort of systems.
So there are differences of how you actually hold your body in different systems. So if you add how you breathe also in this posture of meditation, then if you add the breathing itself, then you have the 8 postures of Vairocana. If you don't add this, then there are 7 of them.
That breathing, of course, that also is common, and particularly, and Abhidhamma Kosha also is mentioned, the meditation on breathing. Now in Burma, and Guingaji, that living tradition is still there. Among Tibetan also. Then, according to Tantrayana, is breathing, then we should visualize the chakras, because of veins, 3 veins. Roma, Jamasada Kase, Lalana Rasana. Right. Lalana Rasana. And Umemil Kase. Avaduti. Lalana Rasana, Avaduti. And then chakra here, 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 here. So there are also you see differences according to differences of tantrics of teaching. You see different. For example, the Kala chakra and Gui Samanza and Hiruka, Hebandra. You see little differences. And also the stage of dissolution. Also, you see there are some differences there. But these are, as I mentioned before, individual practitioner, the different mental disposition, as well as some sort of the structure of the body, also sometimes differences. So therefore, according that sort of the practitioner's sort of mental disposition and the physical condition, then this is different. Actually, this was a tantric teaching. Buddha not publicly taught. Obviously, these mainly, you see, the individual sort of according individual condition. So he cannot teach 1,000 people. Now in Tibet, now something exceptional. Particularly Dalai Lama supposed to give some initiation or Kala Chakra, then over 100,000 people usually come. If you ask why because it do well.
So if you ask why, so if you ask why this happens, that the tantric Kala Chakra initiation is actually given to thousands, hundreds of thousands of people all at once, and there's not much explanation to it. That we
my guru do that way, and guru's guru do that way. That's the only reason. So almost you see, follow faith like that, isn't it? While we say reason is so important, but at the same time, we also practice some according to faith. Right? So in any way, so differences, individual case, individual differences there. So that's why you see it is in our sort of tradition, those serious practitioner, the practitioner himself, herself also say examine through dreams or through certain sort of indications, or examine, and then also the reliable guru, ask reliable guru, according to my sort of body condition or mental condition, which yoga is more suitable, and accordingly, which deity, which mandala is more suitable. Usually you ask the Lama. The Lama should be something really reliable, like that. So now, 그래서 루루 구루 세서지 지게 이셔가.
should we do this breathing, the 9 rounds of breathing together?
What?
Would you like to do it?
Just fun. It's a lot of fun. Then the chance kujakar yoji check him to stay. Those people go on chair. And all right, not problem. Always problem. That's the the Naropa's 6 yoga practice. These practices quite clear mentioned. That's la kuzuche.
Hold your hand and form a fist with your thumb inside.
You see, thumb. You see,
The ring finger at the
the
base of the ring
nemche.
finger. Press your thumbs on the base of the ring fingers.
Now those kuzu.
And then make a fist.
While I do, you see, just as a copy. This is Remasu. Oh, this hand.
First to the right, left. First to the left.
So, here. The first one. Now second. Now this side. Oh, right hand and left hand. Now both, now hand like this. Now here, one difference is when breathing in the way, in like this, with the out like that. Now again 3 times. Okay. So this practice, I think you can do, particularly when your mind a little bit sort of disturbed or turbulence, right? No. Agitated. Then completely forget about the causes and just as a concentrated breathing and do that. That could be something like tranquilizer. The disturbed mind somehow neutralize, like that. So of course, then there's according to the tantric practitioner, if you see there's someone who really seriously practice tantra, then of course we have to visualize the as I mentioned earlier, lalana, rasana, avadhuti, then these chakras, and then the certain area here or here or here. This is some letters, slippers, like that. Or here, okay, like that. So then our mind quite sort of calm. Then visualize the object. Generally, for Buddhist image of Buddha, I think this size, 1 inch, in front of you, they can sort of teme, yeah.
The Buddha image should be at the level of your mid-eyebrow.
And distance, about 4 feet, 5 feet distance, and
the height of the
height of
Buddha image.
And Buddha image, very, very bright one, a lot of light. And also imagine heavy, so that they visualize heavy, some sort of effect, your mind stands still, right?
Not going into mental thinking. To help to
not
maintain.
scattered. Then bright, a lot of light, that helps your mind more clear, not dull, like that. And then to Christian practitioner, yes, Jesus Christ, or Mary, carry the young Jesus Christ. Jesus, wonderful. Really, symbol of love. Or then, Muslim practitioner, perhaps even Mecca, the temple, visualize. Now here, the object, not the seeing object,
No.
but firstly, we look Buddha statue or Jesus Christ or Mary or Mecca, or then reflect
Now.
in our mind. The eye consciousness now eventually should be
Inactive, not functioning.
Oh, because of the cease, right? Actually, because of the firstly neutralize, then the sixth mind, then concentrate on the image of that object in the mind. Once that get used and remain longer period, then the sensorial consciousness automatically become very weak. Then no longer any disturbances. Or you see the Buddha or Jesus Christ, or I think Mecca temple, or God in the form of light. That also is possible, I think. Light, that instead of outside, but here inside, and the center of two kasa, Numunik Parati.
No, in the center of the two breasts.
Oh, no. Yeah. A form of light, or Buddha, or Kasota, Jesus Christ, like that. That object to concentrate our mind.
So when you do this, so in Master Asanga's Sharavakabhumi and other texts, there is mention of the image or the reflection of the object in your mind.
So then, now the obstacle, mainly two things. One, symptomatic.
So one obstacle is the distraction, mental distraction.
Antidote or countermeasure for that is mindfulness. you remember the object, your mind fully sort of concentrate on it. Then shishing charache.
And then you use vigilance to check whether the mind is staying on the object or getting distracted.
Then another obstacle, although your mind still remain on the object, but not very clear, not sort of full alert mind, mental state, a little bit sing.
No, slack.
That also one great obstacle. Particularly, you see, the long period. Then if that sort of singleness, familiarize, that's quite easier. And also you get some kind of relax. So in a way, one of the best method, relaxation. So if that get used, then sharpness of our mind reduce. Very dangerous. So mind remain on the object fully. At the same time, mind should be full alert. So that's important. That the
So in order for us to have this clarity of mind when you stay on and focus, meditation, the obstacle is, that hinders it is called mental sinking.
It is sort of countermeasure is your mind should be alert, and in order to develop that kind of alertness, is your mind something happy, full of enthusiasm, then that comes. Some kind of demoralize, or hopelessness, then completely sinking. So full sort of the enthusiasm is the main sort of the countermeasure. And then mind become more alert like that. So that's the way. Then through that way, the
So the most important thing when you cultivate a single-pointed meditation is to build up your mindfulness and this vigilance.
So that's about practice of shamatha. This is common. All, I think, ancient Indian tradition is common. Then also, I was told, an ancient sort of Christian practitioner, also same sort of practice. Perhaps I think Muslim also, I think. I was told in Greek Orthodox tradition, this is still that practice is in there. I was told in some hermitage in Greek, some island there, but not allow women, only monk. I don't know. At one time, in India, one sort of famous Hindu temple, as my sort of practice, whenever I had the opportunity to pay my respect or pilgrimage to different sort of holy places. One time, one very famous Hindu temple, I expressed I would like to have sort of a pilgrimage. Then quietly, signal, only Hindu can go, non-Hindu not allowed. Once it happened. And then Nigeria, one Muslim temple, I think national Muslim temple, I think, very good one. Again, I requested, and then local mullah, not only fully agree or support, but also he told me he want to join with me the next day, suppose the next day is a visit. So when we actually reach there, the young Muslims, you see, in the front of door, young Muslims remain like that. They are not happy, allow one Buddhist to their mosque. That's the only occasion. But in India, or even Jerusalem, is no problem. Like that. Like that. So, naturally, so all these practice, all major tradition, you see, they have this kind of practice. Now, this is about shamatha. Then, now vipassana. That's the end. That's Shiro Paru Chincho dance. Shiro Paru Chincho da Treve Tripa Samin Gyurs. Shiro Leben Gote. Kada Dami Trubji Sunchim Tin Gotre. And 신의 슈다래. 내저 신의 drugyona 메시다자 dru버요스. 디버체. 데 미국권은 찍다라 이니 깨라 샤버차서 디체.
Verse number 41.
그제 what
41.
41.
No.
41.
So it says, when the practitioner has gained calm abiding, higher perceptions will also be gained. But without practice of the perfection of wisdom, the obstructions will not come to an end.
This is something unique about Buddhism. No, I think no. I think the ancient Hindu traditions or non-Buddhist tradition also you see vipassana. Now vipassana there are two levels. Jigdenbel Hangdong, Jigdenbel Debel Hangdong initiative.
So
Mantaon Dilam Jigdo, Shiraga Nabacheni Hangdong, Damebe Nabacheni Hangdong.
So within the vipassana, we have the worldly type of vipassana, which has to do with making distinction between the what is gross and subtle, and then accordingly you move forward into the subtle practices. And then there is the vipassana, which focuses on selflessness of phenomena.
다 시라가 나빠진 사디 가설하기. 시 공의 시베 유 대배 연대 숙자 지로 렉자. 디에들 또 훌렘베다 로티바 돔니. 딘데게다 로이 샹완도 담바이나. 에 대샤 라바게다 티겐베베 가사주고티. 셰단게야 딘데요에 있잖아요. 딜 라바르테. 다 치유기 양화 신에 나 땡긴자가 심 제주도 내베 대화대 가서르베 양답에다 대화를 때네. 나 아니 심 제주에다 땡긴자 줘야 돼. 다시서 감 공모지 10월 때 내가 라발할 때 시라가 나빠지 않았다 셔.
So with regard to the first type of vipassana, what you do is the practitioner actually compares between the states of mind, the states of mind which are within the lower realms of existence, and then higher, and also the states of mind which fall within the higher realms of existence, and then when the practitioner actually engages himself or herself into practice, what they should do is that they are able to see, in other words, they are able to see that the states of mind that are within the lower realms, such as the karma realm, karma dhatu, where we have so much obsession with the sensual objects, the external objects, sensual objects, and accordingly, because of this obsession, what happens is we have lots of the experiences of attachment and hatred and so forth, and accordingly, there's suffering and so forth that falls that ensue from them. And so, by looking at the sense objects, such as the form, the sound, and so forth, as being a distraction to your the absorption, the meditative absorption, then you actually try to turn your mind away from these sensual objects and try to develop the single-pointed concentration, seeing the benefits and of the single-pointed concentration itself, and then aspiring the single-pointed concentration, and then you pursue this and the single-pointed concentration.
Mm-hmm. So, that top the shiro sungji gware is at she. On a shiro chigo kono degree best level, dick maris, that is shamdanda. Disham de Titwa, Dami Chibu Kombe Min Sachi.
And so in verse number 42, it says the practitioner should continually cultivate the perfection of wisdom with skillful means, so which means the combining the two. And then the next, on verse number 46, it says, whoever understands So
that the top chinru nyamling simbes that chinru sorbe kandachi jinso tabji pege kasori pege tabji che simbe tone any tame komya de ani lami sosang tokuri remado chinru tabji chati molaba dame chibu kombe means.
And so verse number 46 says, whoever, under the influence of familiarity with skillful means, cultivates wisdom, will quickly attain enlightenment, and not just by meditating on selflessness. And so in this verse, the skillful means refers to the other 5 other perfections: perfection of generosity, morality, patience, effort, and concentration. And so you have to combine these with wisdom, and without that, you cannot attain enlightenment.
I think now Guruji need toilet. If anyone also need toilet, then I think 5 minutes, I will go there. 다들 뒤인다. 다 다음에 곰당 그저에서는 풍부함도 계시는 깨워매고 또 줄베 전시 동리 셰반이 실업전의 용수 셰스. 다디 아도 토미기 뭐 근데 나리야 아니 풍부도 감다 계시 디드마 즉 송용도 지 풍금 지지기 최디 풍금 지지기다 최디와 소윤도 시자 탐절로 되는 소윤 거래. 디나라 아니 강사 사지 송도 와. 어디 디드 송야 돼. 간다지 풍금 지지기 최점마다 아니 델레 셴도 이네 다 사지 매바지 다 과외체도 아니 다 사야도 무슨체 다가는 신기 때리나 주니 수배 그돌리 콜수도 송어마도 수코라래서 강사한테 송매체 어디디 간다벽에 공부 때서지 강사 다 매버들 공부 때니 다 아니 지송도 와 콜로 탕벽거리네 봐. 난 콜로 발배 그돌로 가서 시원나 시리 부모가 되다 짱을 시지도 원나 다오 사가 짱다 자네 코로 담불크도로 강사가 다음에 송셔가 대선 모임 다 아드 됐어야 돼 강사 강도 다베시 풍급 계지기 최대남 짱 아니 야완매 나반매 가파매 버리소.
And so in verse number 47 says, understanding emptiness of inherent existence through realizing the aggregates, constituents, and the sources are not produced is described as wisdom. And so this shows how to go about with the cultivation of or meditation on selflessness. And so with regard to meditation on selflessness, Master Asanga also says in his Abhidhamma Samuccaya, he goes through these, what said here as the aggregates, constituents, and the sources of consciousness. And in other words, when he goes through the list of all these different things, he is actually referring to the whole of the object of knowledge. And so within that is also the person. And then when he goes through the 12 links of dependent origination, the Master Asanga refers not to the person as such who actually goes around in this cycle of existence, but he goes through these the 12 links and then and also with reference to the sutra of the dependent origination, there is no mention of the person as such, but it teaches the selflessness of persons and things. And therefore, Master Asanga also does the same thing in his explanation in Abhidhamma Samuccaya. When he explains the 12 links of dependent origination, he doesn't mention the person who goes into in this cycle of existence, but he says through the process of these 12 links, then what happens is there is this selflessness of person. And similarly, we find in the Heart Sutra, where it mentions that the 5 aggregates also are devoid of any intrinsic nature. We find mention of this, the selflessness or emptiness of the person.
Yeah. That the 매바게 시비야 말해. 다디 덤 약슈디 고불루두기 댄진 잡은 중앙강 되는 동반이도 셰스. 루루랑 기타 우마자시로 나리야. 다 동리과데 우마자시로 약슈 차대야래. 마이디 양양로 되게 다디 시을 개시 버리샤. 자시로 잡지 있어도. 애나 대인 잡아 부터벌리다. 아니 타주서兄弟 직세 약슈리샤.
And then in Master Nagarjuna also says in his...
as far as the Shunyata is concerned, the Nagarjuna's Matimika Mulakarika is the best text. And it consists 27 chapters. And the commentary about that, one Buddhapalita. Wonderful. And sort of key point is he mentioned or he explained. Wonderful. But that text is not very big, not very elaborate. Then the Babibegas kasa umushiru treme kasare. Drashiru treme. Ka Rajapati. Really elaborately, as he always use logics way. Of course, Nagarjuna also is used. That Nagarjuna the Sanjayang Tawat Zore.
So Master Nagarjuna and Master Buddhapalita mainly used what is known as absurd consequences.
Because Bababiga 댄시도 조송도 런규 댄시도 조송도.
Whereas Master Bhav Viveka uses more of logic and reasoning.
Then later, the Chandakirtis almost success kasir.
Prasanapada.
Prasanapada. So, that's really wonderful, really wonderful. And from this text, you can realize, you can understand the subtle differences, prasangika and kasa sotantik way, kasa sotantika, the subtle level of differences. So you should read. I think original Sanskrit they are still there, right? The Nagarjuna's text and Buddha Palita Europe, or Buddha Palita not there. So I think eventually should rewrite in Sanskrit. Then the Chandakirtis, they still there. I think 40 years ago, I think more than 40 years. When one occasion they over there came to see me at Dharamsala, and then we just used to talk about these sort of text, and then I request him, please recite the shloka of this Chandakirtis, Prasanapada. And he recite with beautiful sort of tunes, Dhangrustaj, Sanskrit. In my eye, tear come. Those sort of great masters. So they recite, or when they, I think, writing, maybe they sort of that sort of unique sort of tunes, and then maybe writing. And then certainly, there are students, when they read, when they study, I think, when they are, I think, perhaps good mood, then I think they recite like that way. A bad mood, they just read like that. Oh, wonderful. So this is your treasure. So the real, the owner of this treasure is you, not me. Really. So the Nagarjuna's kasa madhyamika mulakarika, and I usually explain when I give some sort of lecture on that. I usually first explain 26th chapter. 26th chapter, mentioned about the causality about suffering mentioned. And that make clear the ultimate source of suffering. So he made clear the real target, which the person who want to liberate, we must realize the real target. All our practice must target on that. Then 18th chapter, there's some explanation and how to eliminate that that ultimate sort of source or that target. How to develop, how to combat that target way. Then the 24th chapter, the Nagarjuna are really very wise. They raise all the objections come from Others come from within Buddhist tradition. You see those like Chitta mantras or Sotante and the Bebashik, all these objections you see raise. Then he answer. So there the essence, just two shlokas. So sometimes I telling my friends, the two shloka must memorize, and occasionally, every day, sometimes even dream time, so you can recite these words. That's it.
So the
Tenjin Reverend Jungwa Kang, Tenet Tongwa Nidu She, Tenet Tagwate, Tini Ume Lamino. That issue de Kanji Tenjung Mayimbe, Changayaba Mayimba, Tishi Tonga Mayimbe, Changayaba Mayino Sati.
And so the two verses go like this. Whatever is dependently arisen, that is explained to be empty, and that in turn is designated through dependently designated, and therefore this is the middle way. And then the next verse says, whatever, there's nothing which is not, because there's nothing which is not dependently originated, there is nothing that is not empty.
다 한테 끼어매 봤어야 돼. 안다 도 패지 띵지 좀 말배. 근시 깨래 깨봐 대마게. 달라 깨외정시 야마인 사디. 안다 가서 넘기 깨 마게 있을 주잖아요. 깨가 내서 쓸 주잖아요. 그 유유면에 깨와 내봐 가봤어야지. 여봐 시사 전에 깨가 내서 셔야 되고. 당 가서 로로 나오는 신기 깨와 내봐도 가봐요 말이지. 가르스로나 깨워도 내가 가고 아주 로로 샤인 주잖아요. 되게 뭐네 이거 시작도 하스. 어디 뛰어 말이지. 그래서 네 주잖아요. kanshi 깨를 깨봐 대마기스. 그래서 로리야 그 라왕 거는 깨버지 로로 시작이어야 돼. 야고 삼다데 깨를 라래 샤마도 깨를 라말레 미도하스. 깨를 라래도 샹을 라래버리. 샹을 라래버인데 아주 로로 나오는 시 되게 뭐네 깨워요 말이지.
So in one sutra, perhaps the King of Concentration Sutra, it is said that whatever arises through conditions, they do not have any essence of arising or birth. So here, with reference to the birth, or usually, of course, when we see things growing from something, the cause and conditions, we say, of course, this is growing, a plant is growing, and then there is a time when the plant actually remains in existence, and then finally it dies. And so, of course, this we take in conventional terms. We can talk about the things, the plants growing, and then staying or remaining, and then finally dying. But here, when the sutra talks about whatever arises through conditions, they have no essence of birth. What this means is that although when we see things growing and abiding and then ceasing, there is some kind of objectification in the things, that the arising and the abiding and so forth are seen as if they have some objective existence and with some essence in the object itself. But then when we do analysis into the things, we will find that things do not have any objective existence. And so here the negation of birth is said from the point of view of this, how things do not exist the way they appear to us.
Now the real sort of subtle differences, the Baba Yaga's view and Chandrakirti's view. So Baba Yaga, you see, in his kasa, but it's to say, master's way. With the Baba Yaga sort of writing, I had two commentaries. One, his own sort of writing. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. 민구로 떡에 바로 쉬시도가. 가.
Tarkajwala.
가서.
Tarkajwala.
떡이 되지 Tibet. 가서 봐. 스무스 하우스 디베이트 쉬우지도 싶어. 멤버는 떡에 바로 왔어.
So this text, Tarkajwala, actually means the blades of reasoning. And here, Master Bhaviveka actually raises the qualms that from of the other schools and then philosophical schools, and then actually replies to them through logic and reasoning. So because of that, because he uses so many reasons and arguments against them, his arguments are like a blaze of, the fire, the flame that burns the arguments of the other schools.
Is that text available in Sanskrit, original Sanskrit, or not? Not. So Guru not sort of preserve well these things. That's sincere, jealous, little criticism. So the substance of differences, Bhaviveka consider these as appearances from objectively that exist. So the 가서다 유중원에 다 랑원에 주고 유중원에 주고 정도 나한테 탄여도 주고 있어. 탄여도 예버들 있어. 그래서 디 쉐베 로디 모추어 있어. 어떻다. 모추어.
So according to Bhaviveka, of course, things appear to have some objective existence, and that is actually valid. He says that things do exist in conventional terms also, objectively. And then the perception that we have of this objective existence of things is also unerred.
Mm-hmm. Now, the Jadakirti particularly sort of pick up in that he mentioned the because Rangsen 다 가다 팔문에 여버진 나한테 디 나온다도 주요 말이스. 그다 다디 덴데지 타녀도 랑문에 여버지기 간주 파괴 냠샤 이시 마도바 로 참월로라 그게 랑센 나용이요 말이스. 랑센 나올로 되지 추별로레스. 그래서 파괴냠샤시 마도바 로 참월로 추어레스 추에시라레스. 원하에는 참아 염합에서는 참아요레스. 세멜로 디디 랑센 나올도 추별레디 로티 지들 샤워나시 진당 유로 추요 말이스. 진짜 이도 참아레스. 추베이 랑센 나올도 되지 추베이샤. 양코레 로티기 진당 유다 진당 되는 미추에 차네 참아샤. 다들 투모입니다. 가서 나가서 쉬으셔. 저자가 아주 표지 캐봐서 추천 투나와 세송사데. 추천 투나와 여도 매사들다. 다 추천 투나와서 참에 주줄 투나와 여도 매. 수숨 적시기 참아 투나도 줘요 매사들이.
And so Master Chandrakirti says, as in his objection against Master Bhaviveka's position is that, of course, the things do have this appearance. Things appear to us as if they have some objective existence. But then that objective existence is not actually there, just as it appears to us. So he says that apart from the Arya being's mind, which is totally absorbed in emptiness, all the rest of the perceptions or cognition of sentient beings, apart from that, the cognition of the Arya beings, which is totally absorbed in emptiness, are actually mistaken perceptions in relation to this appearance of things having some objective existence. And so he says that all the perceptions that we have as ordinary beings, apart from the Arya beings whose mind is totally absorbed in emptiness, are mistaken perceptions. But then, if you ask, in that case, do we, as sentient beings, apart from that kind of Arya beings, do we not have any valid cognition, pramana? And he says, of course, valid cognition is there. We have valid cognition, but then that valid cognition is posited in terms of how we actually engage with object. He says that there is a perception of things. And although there is also the appearance of the objective existence of the thing, we actually see the different things. And so in relation to that main object which we perceive with our senses, he says the perception is actually unmistaken with that object that is there. And so here, which is the object, what is known called the apprehended object that we perceive with our senses and with our mind, is actually what exists, and then accordingly that perception of that apprehended object is unmistaken. That is valid cognition in relation to the object itself. And so in connection with this, there is also the debate about whether there is what is known as the commonly accepted object or not within the when there is a debate argument between or amongst the Madhyamakas and other schools.
Bena samzambe peji bena sungzi mishi liha sukchiri tondo nawa indu zane tera tu shiba wa tu na nawa tu ine ko suk zimbe suk su yobe indu zane suk zimbe chane ko tsamache sungzi mishi suk tsamayiz.
So so according to the Chittamatra view, philosophical school, what they say is when we see with our sense, visual perception, some form,
external thing.
No. And when we see something, what happens is there is this appearance of the externality of the visual object. And so with regard to the externality of that visual object, then the visual perception is actually mistaken. And in other words, it is mistaken with the appearance of that externality of the thing. But then that same perception is not mistaken in relation to the object that it perceives, the visual object it perceives. And so the form or the rupa is there, but then it does not exist externally as it appears to.
So these you see differences or because of the subtle way differences is something I think very, very interesting. So this shows these really great Indian masters, their brain is something very, very sort of sharp, very sharp. So that's the name. Yabakyawa Rigmi, the Mebang Nanga Medoshin. Chinta Sholokachik Kasa.
Verse number 48 says, something existent cannot be produced, nor something non-existent like a sky flower. These errors are both absurd, and thus both of the two will not occur either.
That in Gomulugi, Tony Tunjuba Nala, Yercher Yabakemindi, mention Mabakyawa means. Yeris Lama Turba. Tubna, Gewamdo. Gewasadi, and the Matuchi, Tubiala, Ges or just a Monigiana, go Yerva, Yersimba, and you give up into us. Go Manane, then the Mavare, and you give into us, you charge him into us. That did it.
So in the 70 stanzas of on emptiness, written by Master Nagarjuna also, it says that what already exists cannot arise again, and what is not existent cannot arise either. And so what he means here is that if something has some essence already of existence or arising, then you need not know causes and conditions that brings it about again. If something exists inherently, and then it does not have to depend on any causes and conditions, and therefore you cannot have the arisal of that thing as well.
That issue de that they are the review money you may can go to such review money chen you have a remain the Maba you may satigi you may can go to such that and over only me is a show of a chugutigi doing money Gumuna Chayona, Dalekyo Marishanakyo Mari, Igalekyo Mari, Kumikyo Maris. Tishuti.
So verse number 48 uses reasoning to argue for emptiness. The reasoning here is called objection or the objection or refutation of arisal of the things existing and non-existing. And so here this reasoning deals with the production of things or the effect, the result of things. And then the next verse, 49.
This one. That issue the Yana Shana Tamja, Jigu to Menamjana Sadi, more Java, Kasajuti, Jigu to Jitensi.
Then verse number and then verse number 50 says, moreover, when all phenomena are examined as to whether they are one or many, they are not seen to exist by way of their own entity, and thus are ascertained as not inherently existent. And so the reasoning that is used here is called the reasoning of the lack of one and many. Sorry. Which actually checks into the nature or the essence of things.
So it's the main reason things must sort of objectively, there must be some essence objectively. So the reason, it depends cause, its own sort of entity, and its result. So that's the main reason things does exist by objectively. So now because of the denying the existence of objectively, now have to sort of deal a cause, an entity, right? And then result. So these are so that's all. That the komna that is should shirib kini chanum gunsade shirib tini rikjaba namdo meba tekom chas da those changes and kanzonsone migbe chigle migbe chane ba namdo shandapa shiwa 정도 마세 da di chönam yinul chabi duzane kanzonsone 최적의 나와디 가지고 요래 각제 가서 나와 캐봐 정도 마세베 그 최적의 나와디 가지고 요래 어디 진짜겠다 믿어봐 써야 되는 거요.
And so in verse number 54 it says in the last two lines of it, having analyzed wisdom itself by reasoning, meditate on that non-conceptually. And so after having gone through these different reasonings to prove that things have no objective existence and independent existence, then one should familiarize with emptiness and the understanding of emptiness over and over again. And then what can happen is when you realize emptiness, there's not only the pacification of the reification of objective existence onto things, but even as you familiarize further and further, what can happen is even the things onto which you establish emptiness, they go away from your perception as well. So in this way, you are able to experience this true and real non-conceptuality of non-conceptual experience.
다 디슈부디 디도아 대절 진이 검잖아 림기 쳐서 탑잖아 럭벌러서 탑죠 상계 창조 유미를 So now,
in verse
you
number
see, due to shortage of time, so while he carried translation, I carry this sort of some puja. Okay.
And then it says in verse number 59, having thus meditated on suchness, eventually, after reaching heat and so forth, the very joyful and the others are attained, and before long, the enlightened state of Buddhahood.
Now, rimji treso tabchenesa, dadi cholam songche, jolam songkoyako, da 동이 그 금중 탑이잖아요. 자랑 탑이도. 차랑 나래야 돈이 떠고 야래지. 이제 돈이 그 금중 남 탑하나 자랑 탑이고 야래.
So
되네. 통람 사탕부. 다 대신원 채널과 사탕부 되네 사주심 기되네. 아니 녀모베 집에 녀부치하다. 아니 타과사송은 내가네. 이 시주기 녀부. 관님. 아니 타 준비 방법 90원 차. 다디 뉴부용야리야 로락베 동니 공발레 로차베 동니 공나 뉴버체게베 인류 에네 나 기타 로차라체네 로신도 차베 동니 공야치게.
And so in this verse there's mention of the heat and so forth, which actually refers to the path of preparation. So within the 5-path system, this text does not mention the first path, which is the path of accumulation, Sambhara Marg, but it goes through the second path, that is path of preparation, within which there are the 4 stages, and heat and so forth. And why this is so is because here the reference is to the cultivation of the insight into emptiness, where you have both the which arises through meditation, the wisdom realizing emptiness, through that arises through meditation. So because of that, you have the mention of the path of preparation and upwards, and then it also mentions the path of seeing, and the very joyful and so forth, and others refer to the path of seeing and the rest of the bodhisattva paths up to the 10th bodhisattva level. And so it's by this line, the bodhisattva levels of the path of seeing through to the 10th bodhisattva level is referred. And so within these, during these 10 bodhisattva levels, what happens is the bodhisattvas cultivate the path, which serves as antidote to the negative emotions, the kleshas. And so from the first bodhisattva ground, path of seeing, through to the 7th ground, the bodhisattvas work to overcome the kleshas within our mind stream. And then after that, from the 8th to the 10th ground, the bodhisattvas apply the path to overcome the cognitive obscurations, which are the traces left by the kleshas in our mind. And then by overcoming these two, finally, what the bodhisattvas reach is Buddhahood, where they attain the 4 Buddha bodies. And then, in order to reach that Buddhahood quickly, it is more effective to use the subtle mind rather than the gross states of mind. And therefore, because of that benefit, the power, the expedition of the the path to reach Buddhahood, the text goes through the tantric path because to use the subtle mind is more powerful and effective than using the gross mind to reach Buddhahood.
나야. 다 젊으시고 너무 뒤등기 친구 숭사를 제라 삼된다 시럽 숭지 거야 숭샤. 엔 디슈데 엔 대대비다 람 투모벨람 로 장스 비젤 엔 나라 중사시다 다르다. 엔 초수.
And then in Master Tsongkhapa's text, after dealing with the 6 perfections, then he says one has to combine the practice of the perfection, samadhi and wisdom. And then, having done that, then he says that one has to enter, having trained oneself in the common path, then one has to enter the tantric path.
Oh yeah.
So,
now Tantra, now here, the Sutrayana, I think in Nyingma tradition and Sama means now, Goju, Sakya, Gilu, Katam, Sutrayana, no differences. All as a tradition study these sort of books, like particularly in Kham area. Shungji Chusum, 13 sort of great text like that. Now in Tantrayana, now there are some different deities, different mandalas, according different sort of the mandala or deity, some practice, some sort of practice or because of way stress, little differences. Like Kala Chakra stress here. The Guhi Samanza here, at this initial stage. And the Hiruga here, like that. And within Hiruga, Luiba and Gandharva, and also the Habaza, and the Nyingma tradition, Yangdas and Kasada, out of 8 different deities. You see, there are different sort of stress like that. So, so then is sometimes you see when I use since I think a few decades I use the word Tibetan tradition is a Nalanda tradition. It is true. So one occasion in America, say after my talk, say we have some sort of lunch together, and then an American lady told me, if you sort of, when you sort of mention Tibetan tradition come from Nalanda, then Goju tradition and the Nyingma tradition, not that way. And I remain quiet. But actually, out of ignorance, the Goju, you see, the real sort of lineage come from Naropa. Naropa was one of the top master of Nalanda. Then Sakyapa, Bilwapa, Dharmapala, that's the main sort of lineage. Dharmapala also one of the top sort of today scholar of Nalanda. So even in Chandrakirti's text, he mentioned his name, Dharmapala. Dharmapala holding Chitta Mantra's view. So Chandrakirti, some sort of argue with his view, mentioned like that. And even you see Chandrakirti mentioned Bosumata name. These are apparently not holding the Madhyamika philosophy, like that. So then Kadamba, of course, come from Atisha. Atisha also follower of Nalanda masters. So all Tibetan lineage, and Chonang also, all Tibetan lineage, you see, ultimately come from Nalanda tradition. So I think I have sufficient reasons to say that. Then you see some people, I think in Nyingma tradition, Kagyu tradition or Sakya tradition, Giluk tradition. Kadam tradition, there's not much sort of separate sort of tradition nowadays. And Chanan tradition. Some people feel, oh, something, big differences. That also out of ignorance. And some sort of fundamentalist, fanatic. But that's other tradition also there among Tibetan, among Gilugwa, now those Shungden follower, is very fanatic. So since I approach non-sectarian, so they're very angry towards me. So that's a fanatic. That's the exception. Okay. So you see, the Shungden sort of follower, you see, one Giluk practitioner even keep one Nyingma text, or the Shungden will harm you. Like that. So it's some sort of almost fanatic, right? Fanatic. That I think that. But basically, if you know all Satya, Gagyu, Nyingma, Gilu, Kadam, all this, provided you know the quite sufficiently the foundation of Buddha Dharma and those Nalendra masters' different views, and also the different methods, different emphasis on Sutrayana and Tantrayana, then you can understand. No problem. Of course, my knowledge is very limited, and experience almost zero. But still, you see, I can see all these. Sometimes you see use different term, but real ultimate meaning is same. So that I would like to share with you and some people. Or I'm Nyingma, or I'm Gilu, or something. Then we almost is following some problem between Shia and Sunni. Although you read the same Quran and 5 times prayer, and Catholics and Protestant, so also sometimes create problem like that. So these are due to lack of knowledge and not sincerely practice their own teaching. If sincerely practice, as I mentioned earlier, all major teaching is the same sort of essence, same potential. It's the same message. So like that. So that I would like. Now this is now particular sort of a blessing, as the belongs basically in Nyingma tradition. The Nyingma, there are again, you see the long lineage from India, one. Then short lineage, the Dharma.
The discovered treasures.
Then another lineage through vision. So this belongs to the third one, through vision. The fifth Dalai Lama, like second Dalai Lama, from childhood, they really receiving some extraordinary visions and actually receiving teaching like that. So the recent generation, one Lama, he actually received Lama Tsongkhapa and Tsongkhapa's one teaching received directly from Lama Tsongkhapa. Things happen. And then one Kagyu Lama, I know him very well. You see, he told me one time, you see, he gives some sort of ritual or teaching to another sort of Nyingma Lama. At that time, you see, he actually saw all the lineage of his own sort of teaching, all lineage. He told me. And I know him, no reason to tell lie to me. This is no reason. He spent, I think, 18 years in Chinese Gulag, and he himself come from one sort of a noble family, a very good one. Sometimes he very simple. He remained in India, very simple way. So no reason to tell me lie. So I believe. So like that, some of my friends, you see, that kind of experience, you see, happen. Of course, except Holy Dalai Lama never happened that. So I think my sort of ngati tamebe nangsin shukchetu yoranga.
So perhaps
당난 용자제.
So perhaps I have very strong clinging to the ordinary appearances.
주실주 냐거는 송그리 기시치기 매다이 대부분도 사마야스.
So Tushi Rinpoche used to tease me, saying that the geishis who are very much obsessed with words do not have any result, like a tree giving rise to, or a plant giving rise to some flower.
So the Tushi was really, really marvelous Lama, really wonderful. When I get to see teaching from him, when we have tea, then see a lot of sort of gossips. He tells me all sort of stories, and also sometimes teasing me, and I also teasing him. He bald because of bald head, right? I also teasing him. So the tea time sometimes you see last almost 1 hour, just gossip like that. Really, when I reflect, you see these sort of those days, I really feel very happy. Now, no longer. Sad. So, 50 Dalai Lama sort of one vision. Now, I don't think it's necessary to repeat gender.
No, there's no need to repeat some lines.
Now visualize me also like this, Mela Kasa.
Medicine Buddha.
Medicine Buddha, blue color, and right hand like this, then one Arura, Arunamye, then this hold Kasa, packing bowl, and some medicines, liquid form like that. Then in the front altar also is the same. So then then you, I mean those people who want, who feel comfortable to receive this blessing, then you see some kind of appeal to Medicine Buddha, and also the Lama, Guru, like that. Then, no need, I think, go detail. I think the Dronam Sami said Yome, Dronam Sami said Domino.
Kim.
Duge. The short altruism.
No, there's this verse of bodhicitta.
Then not necessary. Then not necessary. You should simply now reflect about, you see, altruism. And firstly, you see, the thinking or reflect how to transform our subtle mind through training, eventually become Buddha's mind. Reflect that. So all sentient beings, at present, really their life, miserable life. But there is always a possibility to overcome these things because we have Buddha's seed. Then, on the basis of understanding that, realize that, now you should develop determination or willpower, or I must sort of achieve Buddhahood through training my own mind in order to help infinite sentient beings. At this moment, even though we want some serve to other, very limited. We cannot do much. So in order to help sentient being. You need ability. So for that reason, now you determined to achieve Buddhahood, enlightened sort of the being. And then you can easily serve because of the infinite sentient beings. So that is the real meaning of because of the Buddhicitta. Clear? Not just a form of prayer, but this is on the basis of understanding the whole sort of the system. Understand that, then develop some kind of awareness. Oh, there is possibility. So with that understanding, then determination. Clear? Willpower. So I think that's. I think the 21st century's Lama not carry these, you see, because of the formal way, essence, just sort of some the idea, essence is developed. That's sufficient. Okay. The other day, other night, you see, some my prayer. You see, still not complete. So I feel a little tired. So I just lay down, and then those prayers, you see, carrying continuously, suppose. Then I slept. Then you see, there's some portion of my prayer, you see, because I forget. Then after a few hours, I wake up. Then I remember, oh, that, so my prayer, now I left. So then, without sort of chanting or because of that,
reciting the words.
Not recite, but just you see, they sort of look meaning very quickly. All those my prayer without word, just look. Within a few seconds finished. So that's modern way to carry this practice. So now here also is almost like that. Oh, oh, then good. Look.
So the verses that is briefly explained are these. With the wish to free all beings, I shall
always... Mention the page. I say. Then not necessary. Oh, okay. Not necessary. Now already finished. Okay. So now you visualize, particularly those people who already received some apishaka, then you can visualize. Then those people who not sort of receive apishaka, then visualize the medicine Buddha on
your crown.
On your crown. So those people, you see, like him, you see, they quite smooth way, quite smooth. The medicine Buddha may fell. So be a little bit careful. Of course, you already have the initiative, so the initiation, apishaka. So no problem. So now. Think about emptiness. What is self? What is body? What is Buddha? What is sentient being? If we investigate, we cannot find. So, once we investigate, then gradually we understand, oh, there is big gap, appearance and reality. Now you should develop, this appearances is out of illusion, not real one. then you get some kind of feeling of empty. So now the mind which absorbs that kind of sort of cause of the emptiness, or absence, yes, emptiness, that very mind or cause of the become form. So that mind which understand emptiness, that's a similarity of Dhanakaya. That emptiness is Dharmakaya. The mind which understand that ultimate reality is Dhanakaya. Now that Dhanakaya now manifest with form, Sambhogakaya. And from that from that simultaneously different sort of the manifestation in
in different realms of existence.
Everywhere like that. So that is Nirmanakaya, and including like Buddha Shakyamuni. So now you visualize yourself, or visualize here that mind which understand, which penetrate about ultimate reality, that shunyata, that become one Buddha form, medicine Buddha, blue, 2 hands, I like this painting. And it is because of the crown,
Mid-eyebrow.
Om, white Om.
On your forehead,
here,
Om.
Red A, and here blue Hum. And then here also blue Om, like that. Hong Bindruna Shingone, Sunday Major Lamala, Mela Transorin Zingi, Wongul Chinjin, Dirpo, Samaya Ambisha, Samaya Ambisha, Samaya Ambisha, Samaya Ambisha, Samaya Ambisha, from Guru's heart, and also the medicine Buddha's sort of heart, a lot of rays come, and then from all direction, the blessing of all Buddhas, Bodhisattva, draw in the form of the medicine Buddha and his mantra and his sort of syllabus.
Seed syllable.
So from 10 directions come and to dissolve you. So feel you get some blessing like that. Oh yeah, that did take question. Then that and medicine Buddha in front, and also Guru, the left hands, the begging bowl. From there, a lot of us today, the nectars and light that come and enter from your
Crown.
crown
No.
and fill your whole body. All these mo yeshi imbala, tongitoba yeshi imbala, and then number dusinda.
So the nectar actually, in essence, is the nature of the wisdom realizing emptiness, but it appears in the form of nectar.
시다다바 삼전을 하남전에 주저다가 하이 신에다와 디신다가 추이기 오모사와다다가다 베킹가데 사마야 시레 오모사와다다가다 베킹가데 사마야 오모사와다다가다 베킹가데 사마야 시레 오모사와다다가다 베킹가데 사마야 시레 오모사와다다가다 베킹가데 사마야 시레 오모스데데 야야야야야야 so what almost what the making of so much 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 통한 매번 중주지 사다 독세 then then the medicine Buddha's crown. Oh no. Medicine Buddha's kasatene.
No, forehead.
Medicine Buddha. Limitless medicine Buddha. More white rays. With white rays is it come and the Lome Minzul Matim.
So medicine Buddha emanates from the mid-eyebrow of the Guru in the form of medicine Buddha, as well as the medicine Buddha on the altar, and they come forth with white rays of light enveloping them. They dissolve at your mid-eyebrow.
Yeah. What are you doing? Kasate. It's maybe no. It's maybe that's Sunday on then did you to Jugulan Belgium then there, Chazatebe, and do me to soon the Sadia menu, Bildroyai, which change laws. No one on the bakers of the bakers of the bakers of the bakers of the oh no on the bakers of the no on the bakers of the never that did it. That didn't benduya de kuiji jinde da dene kaya wakazda kaya abikeso omse da dene sunga the mantra no bango the beggars group the aras the beggars mama the sumunga de saha that's the mantra. So again, the Buddha medicines throat from throat is a Buddha medicine or mantra, red color. There's so many sort of red mantra used to come and absorbed your throat and purify your sort of your speech. and energy, like that. 투지군은 이메주는 벤루야에 숨기 진기로 그래서 숨기 진기로 오면서 왔다가 나 와가 에비케사 트롯 오케이 와가 에비케사 와가 에비케사 소스 다드네 from heart, the medicine Buddhas from heart, and also Guru's heart, the syllabus, right?
Now,
Hung.
seed syllable.
Blue. So from there, there's a lot of Hung comes with blue lights and absorb your heart. And all ignorance and
All negativities.
misunderstood, all these things remove.
Negativities of your mind are removed.
And Buddha's fully enlightened mind now.
You actualize.
Actualize. Think that way. 투지군은 좀 찾아되면 두루 스님 벤루야에 투기 챙기 로 그래 투기 챙기 로 아무라라노노노 알아도 스님 아무서 뭐가 쓰는 거 같아서 하 지다 에비케서 홍나하 지다 에비케서 홍 지다 에비케서 홍 Now from navel survey.
From the navel. No.
The lungsi. That bagong chune. Yeah.
So countless the alms bowl of medicine Buddha filled with nectar comes forth from the navel of the medicine Buddha and the Guru as medicine Buddha.
The color, I think, is yellow color. White, red, blue, this yellow. Come and absorb your displays and yandeng da chilo topso sama.
So with the dissolution of this the alms bowl into your navel, you are blessed with the enlightened qualities of Buddha medicine. So imagine this happening.
투지군은 이메주는 벤루야에 연den진게로 구나 아비케자소 구나 아비케자소 구나 아비케자소 티치 다드네 어루라 칠레 karma.
So this Arura medicinal plants symbolizes the
From
enlightened activities of Buddha, medicine Buddha.
상내네.
So from this secret organ of the of medicine Buddha and the Guru's
color
organ,
now
this comes
green.
forth. The Arura medicinal plant is in the color.
So body,
green.
speech, mind, quality, action, or karma, like that. So that chili, you understand top so sabacha.
So with the dissolution of these numerous Arura plants coming forth and dissolving into your sacred place, imagine that you are blessed with the enlightened activities of the medicine
Yeah. 그래서 스문가대에서 메두야에 네 고수 얘네 치료도 제일 치료 말로가 로만으로 토벌 교제. Now finished. So real sort of source of blessing is within yourself, as I mentioned earlier. I think I myself, you see, received, I think, almost thousands of abhishek or blessings. But the real blessing come from my own practice. So one's own sort of practice is the real sort of source of blessing. That's very, very important. So practice is very important. If we just rely on blessing, then there's, now time to go. So then almost is the way, you see, the concept of creator, then without one's own much effort, you see, everything relying on creator, merciful creator. So then, okay. But the Buddhists, not that way. You are your own master. So Buddha made very clear that I taught you. Now entirely up to you. He mentioned that. So then, nga di yo me da. Oh, so now, I think if you wish the mantra, I think we can. Okay. Oh.
So please look at this page with the mantra. Medicine
So if you wish, you see, you can recite that. No, not now. You see, keep in your home, and when you have good mood, then read. And then not very happy, then not necessary. Now, thank you. Now, I very much appreciate the organizer. It's organized, and the hotel also is the facility very good. So I very much appreciate. Now, I'm looking forward next year, again, our gathering. So I think at least the next 10 years, I think we can carry this. And after that, I don't know. That may be too old. So just to show my face, smile, that's all. Maybe after 15 years or 20 years, then I don't know. Till that, we can talk, we can discuss like that. Thank you. Now, please, you yourself practice as much as possible. Then, to your friend, you see, please share some of the sort of discussions on heartedness, whether accept religion or not. Be nice human being, sensible human being. That's very, very important. So please share your friend, say 10 people. Then 10 people again share their friend. That means 100 people. Again go there, 1,000 people. So that's the way, you see, to make awareness, more people, that way. Thank you.